Hello there, welcome to this edition of Focus On. I'm Eugene Anangwe. Now, the just concluded Commonwealth Business Forum couldn't have come at an opportune time. The platform brought with it an opportunity for participants to deliberate on better ways to maneuver around the unique times that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought with it. MTN Group was an anchor sponsor of the forum, injecting $230,000 towards the gathering that sat under the theme delivering a common future, connecting, innovating, transforming. And here's how MTN Group connected to that theme.
I believe there really couldn't have been a better theme for CHOGM 2022. And interestingly enough, our whole essence or being as MTN Group, which is summarized in the vision that we call Ambition 2025, is really, really cohesive with the overall theme of connecting, innovating, and transforming. And I'll tell you a bit about why. Our Ambition 2025 strategy has 4 key pillars, and 3 of which are exactly named within the theme of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting and the Business Forum as well. The first pillar of our strategy is really rooted in us leading connectivity solutions for the continent. And in here, we talk things like, population coverage in form of the network, infrastructure in terms of the fiber backbone that we are building across the continent, smartphone penetration, increase and acceleration of future technologies such as 4G and in some markets, 5G. So connectivity is really the bedrock of who we are as MTN Group, and therefore the fact that connecting is the first part of the Commonwealth Business Forum theme is really an exciting and great opportunity for us to showcase how we are really plugged into that. Innovation, really core and center of everything that we do as a group. As you know, one of the areas that we have placed a lot of emphasis around building scalable platforms, of which mobile money is quite a big part. And across the entire group, the drive that mobile money is bringing in form of financial inclusion is something that we're really rooted in and believe it to make a difference across the entire continent. So the fact that innovation is also featuring in the overall theme of the Commonwealth meeting is really a great opportunity for us to really synchronize across the various markets conversations that will see innovation go a little bit further. Transformation, a third pillar around the Ambition 2025 strategy of MTN Group, also reflected in the theme. And this is where we talk about things like sustainability solutions, a huge focus on ESG, whether it's environmental, social, and governance issues. And even more importantly, as MTN, we've taken transformation as a big part of our agenda in terms of really structuring the organization for sustainability into the future. So if you're to ask me how the MTN Group and therefore also MTN Rwanda is plugging into the theme of the Commonwealth overall, I would say really nicely chalk and cheese in terms of really getting together and harmonizing across the various functions.
The Commonwealth Business Forum was a unique platform for key sector players to have meaningful dialogue on how to consolidate their efforts in solving societal challenges like the growing digital and financial inclusion divide. Ralph Mupita is MTN Group President and Chief Executive Officer.
I think governments are very constructive around the issue of financial inclusion. We talk about the concept of financial inclusion. The banking system, insurance systems have gone, quite far in developing, solutions and products for customers on this continent. But that kind of last mile financial inclusion has been very difficult to reach because of the traditional infrastructure of financial services organization does not allow for that to be reached in a profitable way. Now, what the telecommunication businesses, ourselves and others, have been able to do is to leverage the technology, the customer bases that we have, and the systems that we have to be able to provide in financial services to that last mile. And the story of ourselves, M-Pesa, Airtel and others, that this has been well supported by the governments. What we are encouraging the governments is to think about how do you grow the ecosystem and ensure that the ecosystem continues to expand, because the opportunity for the ecosystem to expand creates employment, but also creates over time a sizable tax base for the fiscus. But these ecosystems need to get to critical scale. And we would think that for a business like MTN, our critical scale would be probably 100 million users. We would have reached critical scale, 5 million plus, active, agents and merchants working with us. That's critical scale. So the really important thing is to enable financial inclusion in a way that private capital can invest and create the scale. And that also deals with some of the challenges we face around unemployment levels in markets that are highly informalized. But governments have been constructive. We give them feedback from time to time about some of the areas. And I think one area that we've been talking more with the governments is really around taxes and levies within the financial system. The point I raised earlier on, we've got to get these systems to scale first, and there will be ample opportunity for building the tax base of a scaled ecosystem of financial inclusion.
Challenging protectionism and reducing trade barriers for businesses was one of the key conversations. And as Faustine Mbundu, the chairperson of the Board of Directors, MTN Rwanda, says, telcos like MTN have been at the forefront of easing trade through innovative products for cross-border traders.
And in that, I see it as, when you look at investors who are investing into the telco industry, they need to be assured that the policies and regulatory processes in those countries where they're investing are clear and simple and give results that give their investment meaning. So where I'm sitting here talking about how the telcos help, you can see how they've changed access to finance with their mobile money transactions that MTN has been proud to champion. When you look at the connectivity, where they come in and are having solutions where they are giving digital devices to make it possible for the unconnected to come back to the party. It's very important that we have these players coming in, and as players in the digital field, we are happy to be playing our part. But I think it goes beyond that. We cannot do it when you don't have policies, when you don't have a regulatory framework that's predictable, that's friendly, and that is easy to deal with them. Policies, we need policies in place, but I think we are doing our part. And beyond that, even more people need to take advantage of this digital revolution to be able to drive trade and investment.
In the developing world, it is estimated that SMEs make up 90% of the private sector and provide an estimated 80% of jobs across the African continent, representing an important driver of economic growth. I had a sit-down with Mark Murunziza, MTN Rwanda's Chief Finance Officer, on their plans for the SME world and more.
Yeah, indeed, SMEs form a very big section of the population that we serve. And MTN Rwanda indeed addresses the SME section. We do provide a lot of services in terms of mobile money, because the unbanked population in the SME segment is quite high. So we come in and fill in that gap in terms of providing the platform on mobile money, give them the products that they enjoy, the P2P, the cash-ins, and most of recently the Momo Pay. So that is really something that we work out as MTN Rwanda in particular. On top of that, we do partner with them in terms of helping them in terms of capacity building, in terms of women emancipation in business, for the youth section as well. A lot of products that we provide. We've opened up the APIs for them so that they can plug in instead of coming physically to the offices to integrate their systems with ours. So we do have that vibe with them, and it really works very well for both stakeholders.
Right. Credit constraints have come up as part of the challenges that these SMEs continue to face. Talk to us a bit about the details that have been involved through MTN Rwanda in standing in the gap for those who've been seeking credit but have not been able to get it through traditional means. In which ways is MTN stepping in to fill in the gap?
Yeah, indeed, there's a gap in terms of financing for the SMEs. That's really number one problem for them. and the traditional banking system would not address that problem 100%. So as MTN, we are coming in also to provide a solution. We are working with Group and also partnering with some banks, including some local banks here, to have what we call the bank tech or the lending solution, in which the customer can be able to borrow and pay back in certain installments. So there are steps that we've taken. We've engaged the local banks. We're dealing also with Group, MTN Group, to roll out that bank tech, and it should be happening quite soon. So let's watch that space.
Right.
Yeah.
You are an anchor sponsor for the just concluded Commonwealth Business Forum, and it's, with the event having ended, it's quite important to sit back and look back. What would you be able to report back as part of, one, value for MTN Group, and number two, in terms of offering solutions to the conversations that were being done or made at the Commonwealth Business Forum? What would you be able to write back home on that? Yeah,
you're right. This business forum was very, very important for us, having also been an anchor sponsor, as you mentioned. But in terms of engagement with stakeholders, it was a unique opportunity for us as MTN to engage with the regulators, with the policymakers from all over the world, with manufacturers, stakeholders within the supply chain. So it was a huge opportunity for us to continue those engagements with those stakeholders to try and push the agenda of bridging the digital divide that Africa is facing today. And we're picking up on those discussions that we've had with stakeholders, opening up opportunities for the continent. And it was really a great success, and we really appreciate the government of Rwanda for having organized this opportunity for MTN to come out and meet these important stakeholders from all over the world. Yeah.
Your quick take home for the same would be what?
Yeah, I think for us it is the buy-in, especially from the regulators. They now understand where we come from in terms of investment point of view. Of course, the regulator would want to see 100% coverage, want to see quality in the services, but they also need to see on the other side what kind of investment is coming in, how it affects the shareholder. And the buy-in that we see is quite important for us to talk at a certain level. And the understanding is there from the regulators and policymakers, governments, to see that we are in this together. It's a partnership. We are going in this together. We need to bridge the gap. We need to bring all the population on board to enjoy the benefits of a connected world.